Welcome back. If you're looking for a recipe that captures the very essence of fall, this is it. This is my rich and creamy, deep roasted butternut squash soup. We are going to start off by heating our oven up to 375 and piercing just a couple of holes into our squash. This is going into the oven, the whole squash, just like this, for 15 to 20 minutes at 375 degrees. While my squash is cooking, I'm going to go ahead and chop up 4 ounces of bacon, and this is a Hickory smoked bacon. I would also use Applewood smoked if you happen to have it available, and actually that would be my first choice, but I couldn't get it yesterday at the store, so Hickory smoked is where I'm going. We're cutting these into small pieces about this size. This bacon is going into my Le Creuset Dutch oven, which happens to be like my favorite pot on earth. If you don't happen to have a Le Creuset or a Dutch oven, just use any heavy bottomed pot. Then I'm moving the bacon over to the stove on medium-low heat, and I'm going to start rendering the fat out of the bacon. So here we are. This was in the oven for 20 minutes and I have let it sit and rest for 10 minutes just to let it cool off where I can handle it, and I'm also wearing a glove to help protect my hands, and you can see how easy that first slice was. My knife just slid right through it, which is pretty much the purpose of that little bit of cooking that we just now did. Look at how easy. So now I'm going to peel it, and I'm just going to use my regular peeler. Now we're going to cut this in half from top to bottom. We're just going to remove these seeds and just go ahead and scrape that clean. So now I'm just going to cut this guy in half this direction to make him easier to work with. And then I want to cut cubes. Hey, if you are finding this information useful, please make sure that you like and subscribe and leave a nice comment down below and share it with all your friends. So I'm going to cut this into sections about that big, an inch-ish. And you do want to get them as even as possible, just so that we get even roasting. The butternut squash is the star of this soup, so we are going to roast it to concentrate its natural flavors and to really just bring out as much flavor as we possibly can. So go ahead and transfer your squash into a bowl, like so. Here's all my squash in a bowl. I'm going to put this over to the side. I'm also going to add in a Granny Smith apple, and this apple weighs about 5.5 ounces. It's really important that you're using Granny Smith though, because the tartness from the Granny Smith is going to provide the acidity that we need to balance the squash's sweetness, and it's going to prevent the final soup from tasting too heavy or too flat. If you don't have a Granny Smith apple, don't add any apples at all, because if you add a sweet apple in, it's going to enhance the existing sweetness of the butternut squash, and you're going to end up with something that tastes like baby food at the end, and we don't want that. I'm also going to add in some fresh thyme sprigs to the squash while it's roasting. Adding these into the roast is going to infuse the earthy, savory oils directly into the squash and into the apple as it roasts. So I'm doing the whole sprig, along with a big old pinch of kosher salt, and a couple tablespoons-ish of olive oil. I just want to coat what I have in my bowl here. Give this a nice little toss. Make sure everything is really well coated and that your salt is spread out evenly. I'm going to spray the pan with a little bit of cooking oil. I'm using olive oil, but you can use whatever your preference is here. If you want butternut squash soup that is like complex and nutty and completely irresistible, the secret starts here with the maximum caramelization from cubing and the high heat roasting that we're going to do. We want to spread this out as much as possible, and if you need to, use 2 sheet pans. I'm going to put this in the oven at 425 degrees. The higher heat is going to promote caramelization, which is the Maillard reaction, and it's going to give a more intense and nutty flavor. So spread these guys out, make sure they have room. If they're too close, they're going to steam. I'm also going to go ahead and start getting my other ingredients ready. Here I have 2 onions, and they weigh about 15 ounces. I'm just going to go ahead and give them a little chop. The onion is going to provide a nice sweetness and depth to this soup. I'm also going to peel and mince 4 cloves of garlic. Here's the bacon hanging out over here. It has been rendering and it's absolutely beautiful. It's nice and crisped up, and it has let go of quite a bit of fat. I have probably, I don't know, 2 solid tablespoons of fat in there, which is perfect. So bacon comes out and onions go in, along with a nice pinch of kosher salt. and freshly ground black pepper. Give this a nice little stir. So these onions have been cooking for 3 or 4 minutes on, I don't know, like medium-low heat. I'm just kind of trying to get them to give up a little bit of their liquid and start to brown a little bit. Next, I'm adding in a carrot. This is going to add a bit of earthy sweetness and depth, which is going to be really nice. But you do have to be careful adding this into your soup because it's easy to give it a vegetable soup flavor. The way that we're going to avoid that is to really concentrate the sweetness of the carrot and allow it to caramelize with the onion. I also added in a pinch of kosher salt. And I'm not sure if I said it, but this is just over 1 ounce of carrot. I'm also going to add in a little bit of celery, and this is about 1 ounce of celery, along with a tiny pinch of kosher salt. The celery is going to give a really nice, savory, aromatic note to the base of the soup, and it's going to add some complexity. It's also going to help balance the sweetness of the squash and the apple, and the flavor of the celery will actually help to bring out the flavor of the butternut squash, which is pretty cool. I just pulled this squash out of the oven and it was in there a total of about 40 minutes, and you can see how we got this really beautiful browning. This is done, it's nice and soft. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull this off of the pan as quickly as I can. I wanna keep my pan nice and hot because I wanna deglaze it. This is just going back into that same bowl that I tossed it in before we put it in the oven. So while this pan is still nice and hot, I'm going to pour a 1/4 cup of sherry wine on it. And this is a cream sherry wine, and then I just want to scrape. See all these little brown bits? You don't want to leave any of those behind. They have way too much flavor, so just give all that a scrape. Here we are at the 5 or 6 minute mark, and you can see that I'm starting to get some really beautiful color on everything. Here I have 4 cloves of garlic, which I minced. I also have about a tablespoon of fresh ginger. You can also use a teaspoon of ground ginger if you don't have fresh. And I have 2 really big sage leaves that I cut up. The ginger is going to add just a little bit of warmth and complexity, as is the garlic. And we're going to stir those in and let everything continue caramelizing together for a few more minutes. I think I'm also going to add the tiniest pinch of salt. See that beautiful fond that we're getting on the bottom? All good things. Once your veggies are looking like this, and remember, all of this is happening on pretty low heat. I've been on medium to medium low the whole time, so it's a nice slow process, but you want to bring out all these flavors by keeping everything low and slow. Now I'm adding in 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg, and I want to just give that a nice little stir. And we're going back to that sheet pan that we deglazed and adding all of that liquid in here, along with all the little bits, and kind of trying to deglaze the bottom of this pan. I also have some chicken stock I'm going to add in. You can definitely add veggie stock if you want to instead. I like the flavor the chicken stock gives to it. So I'm going to do a total of 6 cups. And this is a low sodium chicken stock because I want to be able to control my own salt. And now we add our butternut squash back in and bring it up to a simmer. And we are going to let this beautiful soup simmer for about 15 minutes to make all of the flavors kind of mesh and meld together. So this has been gently simmering for actually over 15 minutes because I got busy, but more like 25 minutes. So I am ready to start blending it up, and I'm going to use my immersion blender. I mean, truly, is that a thing of beauty or what? All beautiful and blended. We are almost done. Alright, so we want to give it a taste and also check the texture. Beautiful. Nappe, absolutely gorgeous texture. Give it a taste. Adjust salt, pepper, anything like that. Absolutely fantastic. I'm actually not going to make any changes. You can, as a final option, put a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar in here if you want to just like brighten it up a little bit more, but mine is perfect just how I like it, so I'm leaving it just like it is. But I have some garnishes that I'm working on as well. So I want to make some crispy fried sage leaves for the garnish. So over here I have some butter, And I just want to brown this up on like medium-low heat. I also want the spattering to stop so I know that all of the water has evaporated out of it, or at least most of the water. As you can see, I have some really pretty brown butter going on here. So I'm just going to drop a couple of sage leaves in at a time. And these cook pretty quickly. They take maybe 10 to 15 seconds. And go ahead and pull them out. As soon as you pull them out, hit them up with just a little bit of iodized salt and put those over to the side. Alright, let's garnish it. I'm going to do just a couple of little drops of cream here and there, kind of wherever they might fall. If you want to do the cute like heart thing, you know, where you like put a few drops and then you kind of smear them, that is up to you. I'm going to do a nice little bit of bacon right in the middle, a couple of those sage leaves. And I have been like super digging on this bourbon maple syrup lately, so I'm just going to add just like the tiniest little drops because I don't want to make it too sweet. That is sexy. Love it. Alright, there it is. If you liked this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up, a like, share it, subscribe, do all of those things. Drew, thank you so much for your recipe request and for sponsoring this video, and happy cooking, everyone.